My entitled aunt tries to cure my tree nut allergies and ends up almost killing me during Thanksgiving dinner after knowingly feeding me nuts. I end up hospitalized and try to seek revenge. Here's what happened. So let me set the scene for y'all. It's Thanksgiving and my family and I are gathered at my Aunt Karen's house for the annual feast. I'm a 24-year-old guy and I've got severe nut allergy, like EpiPen severe. Everyone in my family knows about it, including Karen. But little did I know she had other plans for me and my health. As we were sitting down to eat, I asked, like I always do, if there were any nuts in the food. And Karen, being the entitled bitch that she is, looked me dead in the eye and said, "No, of course not." So I start digging into the feast and everything's going great. Mashed potatoes, gravy, turkey, the works. But then, all of a sudden, I start feeling it. The itching in my throat, the swelling in my lips. I immediately knew something was up and panicked. My parents started freaking out, asking what was wrong and if I had an EpiPen. I didn't, and they quickly called an ambulance. Next thing I know, I'm being rushed to the hospital with my aunt still sitting at the table, acting all innocent and clueless. I almost died, y'all. It was that severe. At the hospital, they treated me for anaphylaxis, and I eventually stabilized. I couldn't breathe. I actually almost died. Thank God a hospital was only 3 miles away, but I was still fuming. It turns out Karen sprinkled some grinded cashews in the mashed potatoes. I confronted her with my whole family there, and this is how the conversation went like. "What the actual frick, Karen? You knew I was allergic to nuts and you put them in the food, didn't you?" "I was only trying to help, dear. I read that if you're exposed to small amounts of allergen, it can help build up immunity." "Are you serious right now? You almost killed me, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me before I ate. You're a frickin' idiot." "Watch your language, young man. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was just trying to help." "You call almost killing me help? You ruined Thanksgiving and could have ruined my life. I can't even look at you right now." And that's when she snapped. Karen starts yelling at me, saying that I ruined the party and I should be grateful she was trying to cure me. My family was furious. That's when they just told her to get the fuck out of the hospital and they haven't spoken since. They cut her off for a long time and haven't seen her since. It's been 2 years now. And as for me, I ended all contact with her. I couldn't even begin to forgive her for what she did. Moral of the story, folks, don't trust entitled relatives with your health. And if they try to cure you without your consent, cut them the fuck off. Like, how could my auntie be this stupid? Wow. Just wow. I can't even begin to imagine going through something as traumatic as that. I mean, we all have that one relative who's a little too entitled for their own good. But to try and cure someone's severe nut allergy by exposing them to it without their consent, that's just crazy. And to top it off, to act all innocent and clueless when the person almost dies, that's some next level Karen behavior right there. The fact that the OP almost lost their life because of their aunt's idiocy is just beyond me. And then for her to have the audacity to try and justify her actions by saying she's trying to help. Just phenomenal. I'm just so glad the OP and their family were able to cut off contact with this entitled relative and move on from this traumatic experience. It's important to surround yourself with people who truly care about your well-being. What do you guys think about this crazy story? Let me know down below. This next story is a crazy interesting one. It's just super unexpected. An entitled mother attempts to sabotage a medical evacuation, putting her own child's health in danger. So this is what I did to seek revenge. So about 10 years ago, I was a corpsman in the U.S. Navy, medical personnel for the Navy and Marine Corps, stationed overseas in a tropical paradise. At the time, I was the second most senior enlisted sailor in our department at a small, forward-deployed hospital. Part of my duties include being ready to medevac psych patients at a moment's notice. So I always had a medevac mission bag in my barracks room ready to go. Anyways, one day while I was on liberty, not on duty, I got one of those "you leave in 2 hours" phone calls, so off to the hospital I went, my trusty bag on my back. It was there that I was told how weird this medevac was to be. I was flying commercially to the US with my patient, instead of hopping on an Air Force flight, and their mother. Oh, by the way, the mother just happens to be an entitled junior officer. Great. I get all my paperwork together, gather my party, patient and mother, and grab a duty driver to take us to the local civilian airport. Oh, and while we are all dressed in civilian attire, it is important to note that I'm 100% on duty and acting officially in my capacity as a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Navy Hospital Corps. The mother, however, is 100% not on duty or acting in an official capacity. This becomes very important later. On the way there, the kid is really sweet, but is clearly recovering from a first psychotic break and has a lifetime of therapy, medication, and hospitalizations ahead. This kid has my sympathy, and besides, the kid is my patient. The mother, on the other hand, is clearly self-absorbed and is an excellent defensive driver, or is just in general complaining about anything she can. Whatever, I can tune her out and do my job. It wouldn't be the first or last time in my career I had to ignore a petulant junior officer and just get my job done. The trouble started almost immediately after checking in at the airport. She turned to me, cleared her throat, and in a tone that suggested that she was in charge said, "You need to get my bag." Without hesitation, I replied, "No, ma'am, our flight leaves in 20 minutes. We're going to the gate now." With that, I turned and began to escort my patient to the security screening area. She stammers out some kind of "excuse me?" protest, but I didn't quite catch it because I genuinely didn't give a damn. My mission was getting my sick patient to a higher level of care, not playing enlisted butler to an entitled officer. That seemed to get her to back off because we got to our layover destination without incident. We board our international flight and the kid wants a window seat and the mother wants to sit beside the kid. Fine. I sit behind them and we take off. The flight is going smoothly. I give the kid their medication after the in-flight meal and the kid and mother settle in for a movie. It was when the stewardess was handing out booze that shit started to really go sideways. The mother tried to give her very sick kid, who was on an atypical antipsychotic medication, a ducking Jack and Coke. Without hesitation, I reached forward between the seats and snatched that shit up. She turned to glare at me and chew me out, but I didn't give her a chance. I cut her off with my super serious NCO tone and glare. I'm not ashamed to admit I practiced it before my first deployment. And state flatly, "Ma'am, not only is patient underage, but patient is very sick and is on some pretty serious medication. If there are two things that just plain don't mix, it's alcohol and psychotropic medication. Respectfully, ma'am, I simply will not allow this. I appreciate your compliance." Her face twists in rage and confusion. I could tell that she had never been spoken to like this by a lowly enlisted person, and she was trying to figure out what to say to me. Finally, she said, "I didn't want to have to pull rank, but..." Again, I immediately cut her off. "Ma'am, this is my mission. It was explained to you that you are not in charge here, and the skipper is allowing you to tag along as a human gesture. I am calling the shots here. This is your kid and you want the best for your patient. I get it, but the best thing you can do right now is let me do my job and get patient to the next treatment facility without incident. Our commanding officer placed me in charge, and if patient shows up to the next facility having drank alcohol, it will be my head on the chopping block. Not to mention that you are putting patient at risk. Your child could have a genuine medical emergency tens of thousands of feet in the air over open ocean. So ma'am, if you pull something like this again, I will report it. Thank you for your compliance, ma'am." You see, Reddit, in the US military, positional authority is way more important than your actual rank. This is why an E2 can and will prevent a 3-star general from entering a secure facility without the proper credentials. It doesn't matter that the 3 stars like ducking God to this E2, because not even God gets to access this facility without a proper military identification card, sir. This means that since the patient was released to my custody, and since the chain of command placed me in charge of this mission, my positional authority simply trumped her rank and even her status as the kid's parent, and I had the paperwork to prove it to any authority. Back to the flight. So after being told that she wasn't in charge, she scowls at me and tells me that when we land, she's going to call the cops or something. I don't really care as I lean back and begin documenting the interaction for my personal CYA. Anyway, we land and there aren't any cops called or anything. So whatever she said was an empty threat. We are about to go through US Customs when she insists that she go through Customs first, then her kid, then me. The Jack and Coke incident still fresh in my mind. I'm convinced she's going to try to pull some shady shit, so I shut her down. I inform her that in order to maintain her kid's security and health, that I had to go first, followed by her kid, then her. She protests, and the protests start to get us stared at. Somehow we made it through Customs without her or the kid taking flight, or without any of us getting detained. Y'all, she ducking, whined, and complained loudly the entire wait. I was seriously getting concerned that we were gonna get detained. Nightmare almost over, we get through Customs and we head to get the rental car. All I have to do is get the patient to the next medical facility, give report, turn over effects, and I'm done. I get the car, load everyone up, and then mother exclaims, "I left my purse!" She begins half flailing and freaking out and jumps out of the car. She tells me that I'm to wait until she returns. Now, I'm not some kind of special forces ninja or some nonsense, but I have been deployed and I have seen real people get seriously hurt and had to treat those injuries. I've been in real danger and would eventually develop PTSD from these experiences. It was then and there that I decided to play time with this delusional officer was ducking over. I turn and look at her through the open car door, and this time I don't mask my frustration with this woman. "Ma'am, I've been on duty and awake for nearly 21 hours. We have a 45-minute drive ahead of us. Then I have to give report and turn over medications, medical records, and personal effects. I have at least 2 more hours of work ahead of me before I can get some sleep and fly back tonight. Ma'am, there's no way you're holding this up any more than you already have. This vehicle will leave in 10 minutes with or without you." She stammers out that she will call the police on me for kidnapping her kid. I tell her to go right ahead, but that won't change that she now has 9 minutes and 45 seconds to get her purse. At this point, even the kid chimes in with, "Mom, Stop trying to control everything. This guy's taking great care of me, and I'm really tired. Can't we just hurry up? With that, she storms off and miraculously makes it back with her purse in time. I take them to the hospital with her silently fuming and furiously tapping away at her phone non-stop. Turnover gets done. I bid the kid goodbye, and the mother ignores me as I leave. Sweet, sweet sleep. Oh, it's not over. Fast forward a week, and I found out that the mother has filed a formal complaint against me. To avoid another long story, I'll tell you that the executive officer shredded it and chewed her out once I explained everything that happened and backed it up with official documentation. I don't know what happened to her or her kid, but I never saw either of them again. Wow, this OP story is wild. As a medical personnel in the Navy, I can only imagine the craziness that goes on behind the scenes. But this story about the entitled Karen junior officer takes the cake. I mean, trying to give her own child alcohol while they are recovering from a psychotic break and on medication, that's just insane. And the way the OP handled it, absolute boss move. Cutting her off and making it clear that he's in charge of this mission and that the well-being of the patient is the top priority. I can only imagine how satisfying it must have been to shut her down. I love how the OP kept his cool and just focused on getting the job done. It's just a wild story, and I'm so glad the OP shared it with us. I'm curious to know what you all think of this absurd situation. My sister-in-law tried to hijack my son's birthday for her gender reveal party. Here's what happened. My husband and I have 2 children, both boys now aged 11 and 14. My husband's younger sister now has 3 children aged 7, 5, and 3. The year my youngest son, who we'll call Bob, was turning 4, he asked for a birthday party. He was not yet in school, and so he did not know anyone but family, and there were no children other than his brother that were able to attend. Luckily, his favorite people in the world are Grandpa and Grandma, Dad's parents. Grandma is like a big kid. She's super fun and energetic. She acts much like a kid herself, and my boys adore her. I knew they were very busy, so I asked them several months in advance if they could attend his birthday party. The party was to be on his birthday. This is important. Being the wonderful grandparents they are, they agreed and requested the time off from their jobs. We also invited all close-by family, including my SIL, the entitled mother of the story. Months go by, and it's now a week and a half before my son's big day. I bought the decorations, planned the menu, and pumped him up. I like to sing a final countdown song as I prepare breakfast in the morning. One afternoon, I receive a call from my SIL, who's about to find out the sex of her baby. She's pregnant with baby number 1. She wants to plan a gender reveal party, but she's called her friends and family and discovered that most work and can't attend without several weeks' notice for their jobs. The only day everyone just so happens to have off is my son's birthday. Would I be willing to move my son's birthday party to another day so she can have her party? At this point, it may bear mentioning that she already has 3 baby showers planned and has asked me to make the food, out of pocket, for one of the showers. Most people being asked to attend her gender reveal party were already attending multiple baby showers for her. I am pretty friendly and passive. This caught me off guard. I tried to gently tell her that my son was looking forward to this and we've had it planned for months, which is why everyone had it off from work. She feigned sympathy but still urged me to please move my son's birthday party to a time that everyone could attend later, and let her have this open date for her party for her first baby while you've already had 2. Besides, Bob loves babies and would love to go to her party too. He could still come to my party and see everyone he loves, and then get to do it all over again when everyone can request time off. I didn't have time to gather a response as the steam rolled over me. Me saying, okay, if they want to go, I won't make them come to Bob's party, but I can't go to your party. We have plans. And her responding, thanks. I was angry. She had pulled this kind of thing with other people before. I have tons of stories. But she had always really loved my boys and never tried this with me. Or not to this extreme anyway. I didn't know how to react other than vent to my husband, her brother, who wasn't surprised at all and said not to worry and that her dad would set her straight. Funny enough, I was talking to my husband when I saw him, FIL, calling my phone. I answered, and he said that my SIL had told him I had no problem with her hijacking my son's birthday, and I had insisted she had the party and everyone go to that one instead of Bob's. He said if this was true that he would attend her party, but he would way rather go to the party of Bob. He'd already gotten presents and they were excited about celebrating a kid that's already here on his big day. I very happily told him that I was never going to cancel his birthday or make him sit through someone else's party on his big day. I mean, he's 4 and I've been counting down for him every morning. What kind of monster would I be? I said that I had told SIL that people could go to that if they preferred, but that we wouldn't be attending. He said that's about right and told her that he's going to Bob's party since he requested time off for that. And if she wants another party another day to give him notice. She canceled, or never organized, the party and then talked about me behind my back to anyone that would listen for years to follow. I can't believe the audacity of OP's sister-in-law to try and hijack her son's birthday for her own gender reveal party. And to think, she already had 3 baby showers planned. I mean, come on now. And the fact that she even tried to guilt trip OP into moving the party and making it all about her is just ridiculous. I'm so glad OP's husband and father-in-law were on her side and set the boundaries needed to make sure her son's special day wasn't ruined. It's a birthday, not a political campaign. I can't even imagine how stressful that must have been for OP, but she handled it with grace and stood up for her son. Can you even imagine? What do you guys think of this absurd situation? But you know what's more absurd? The video on the left, where a Karen refuses female doctor because, according to her, women can't be doctors. Yeah, that's just too far.